Flair elements are traditionally seen in men's artistic gymnastics, specifically on the pommel horse and floor. However, they too exist on the women's side, even though they're incredibly rare. The Talavera Flair on the beam was described as a one-leg circle with flair and required the legs to be separated. It was featured in the turns section with a C rating until it exited the code in 2005. This Flair element had been submitted by American gymnast Tracee Talavera in 1981. Consisting of two flying flares, this balance beam mount was performed by Canadian Peng Peng Lee during the 2009 to 2012 quad. However, the technical committee gave it a B rating at the time, and the minimum difficulty required for a new element to be named after a gymnast is C, therefore it does not carry her name in the code. The unofficial Lee was finally upgraded to C in the 2022 code, but still remains on the unpopular list. The Homma mount is simply described as 3 flying flares, and carries a D rating since 2017. Canada's Charlotte Pipe is believed to be the first female to have performed it on the balance beam. However, it was her teammate, Leah Homma, who actually submitted it at the 1989 World Championships. Nonetheless, we haven't seen this mount in elite gymnastics for over a decade. Named after Belarusian gymnast Svetlana Baitova since 1987, this mount consists of 2 flank circles followed by a leg flare. Its value was raised from C to D in the 2022 code. Canadian Koyuki Oka used to perform 3 flank circles with no leg flare, but it seems her version never made it to the code. Flares and circles can now also be used to fulfill the turn requirement on this apparatus, but so far we have not seen any gymnasts willing to try them. Three decades ago on the women's side, flares existed not only on the balance beam, but also on floor. In 1989, Leah Homma created her second eponymous skill. The Homma on floor was considered a turn, and its description changed from double scissors to a double flare throughout the years, until this element was completely removed from the code after 2008. There's also footage of Charlotte Pipe even performing 3 flares on this apparatus, but it appears she didn't submit it since it never entered the code. And speaking of Charlotte Pipe, she officially gets the title of Flair's Queen. The Canadian athlete performed them not only on beam and floor, but also on the uneven bars. Yes, you heard that correctly. On the uneven bars. In the latter half of the 80s, Charlotte mounted the apparatus with a kip straight to a flare on the low bar. However, there's no indication that this skill was ever in the code of points, and it hasn't been performed since the 80s. Do you think we should see more flares in modern gymnastics?